Hey guys, welcome to another Cult Movie Tuesdays right here on Night Owl Video. Yeah, today I'm talking about the 1977 David Lynch film Eraserhead, which I did an unboxing of this edition this past week. I hope you got a chance to see it. Today I'm going to be doing a review. I mean, this is a complicated movie to talk about. There's been so much said about it. There's so much dialogue about what the film means and all of that kind of thing. I'm just going to give you my honest review, my honest thoughts. I'm going to give you some of the synopsis, some of the production notes. I mean, there are tons of videos on YouTube that you can watch about this film. I mean, everybody has their kind of thoughts on this film, and I'll give you my honest thoughts. And if I can remember, I'll try to talk a bit about my history with this film. So this film was written, directed, produced, and edited by David Lynch, who also did the score to the film and sound design, along with sound designer Alan Splett. As far as genre goes, it's often referred to as surreal horror, cult, avant-garde. I mean, there's lots of names thrown around with this. Honestly, there's just no genre for this. It's just Eraserhead, in my opinion, anyway. This was David Lynch's first feature-length film after doing a series of short films, including Six Men Getting Sick, The Alphabet, The Grandmother, The Amputee version 1 and version 2, and Premonitions Following an Evil Deed. That's wrong. Premonitions came after Eraserhead. It came out in 95. So, and actually, The Amputee came out. Oh no, The Amputee came out before. But so David Lynch had been doing a bunch of short films before this one came to be, and oh my God, this is going to be really challenging, I think. But anyway, all that aside, this is David Lynch's first feature-length film. It took him a really long time to make, and we're going to talk a bit about that in a moment. This stars Jack Nance as Henry right here. Charlotte Stewart, Gene Bates, and Jack Fisk. Henry, this is a synopsis. Henry, played by John Nance, resides alone in a bleak apartment surrounded by industrial gloom. Now, this synopsis is copied from the internet, so I didn't really read it that closely before I started this video to see what it sounds like. So hopefully it does it justice, because I wouldn't know how to explain this. But when he discovers that an earlier fling with Mary X, played by Charlotte Stewart, leaves her pregnant, he marries the expectant mother and has her move in with him. Things take a decidedly strange turn when the couple's baby turns out to be a bizarre lizard-like creature that won't stop wailing. Other characters, including a disfigured lady who lives inside a radiator, inhabit the building and add to Henry's troubles. I would disagree with that. The lady in the radiator to me, was a symbol of hope. I don't think that added to Henry's troubles, but not bad. I mean, this is a hard to explain film. Like this guy, he's got a girlfriend. They get pregnant. The baby is like a deformed looking creature thing. And then she leaves, and then Henry watches the lady in the radiator, and then his head gets turned into pencil top erasers. Something along those lines. I purposely didn't really think a lot about how I would talk about this movie, because the thing about this movie is it's mysterious. And as I've said to many people over the years, the mystery's been sucked out of our lives, and I am doing this review like this to purposely add some mystery back in, because I think everything is just too quantified and sophisticated nowadays, and and I'm just tired of it. Let's get some more mystery back into the world, okay, people? And you can start by watching this. So, Eraserhead was produced with the assistance of the AFI, or the American Film Institute, during the time that David Lynch was studying at the AFI. The film took many years to produce due to funding issues. If you know anything about this movie, basically they got some funding from the AFI, but eventually, especially towards the end, that funding ran out, and they were doing. David Lynch had like a paper route. One of the actors had a job as a waitress and would bring them food from the restaurant at the end of the day back to the set. And they shot whenever they had enough money for film stock. Basically, they would shoot. So there's one scene in here in particular that's very famous where Henry is going to open a door, and then it's a full year later before they film from inside the room of him coming through the door. So like this was a very slow, arduous process to get this film made. Thank God they persisted, because I would have felt really sad if all those years had gone in and they didn't end up with a product. But Jack Fisk and his wife, Sissy Spacek, who you may know, donated money to keep the production going. It was shot on various AFI locations and the stables. If you watch any of the documentaries about this film, they show where the stables were at the AFI, one of the AFI buildings, and that's where they let David Lynch set up shop, and he ended up living there illegally and working on this film, and is basically just working on this film, I guess, when he wasn't studying. Prior to Eraserhead becoming a film, Lynch was actually going to leave the AFI, but he did end up getting support in the end and was able to move forward with the film, thank God. Jack Nance's hair, as you can see here, is an incredible, it's a piece of art unto itself, but one of the actresses in the film had to like backcomb his hair every day to keep it like that. And apparently because this was filmed starting in the early 70s, David Lynch was talking about how nobody had weird hair. Everybody had long hair then, because of the hippie thing. So wherever he went, heads would turn. And apparently when they went out with him, like to go out for dinner or something, he would have to try to wear a hat over it and or sit between two people in the back seat so that he was kind of hidden from view, because people would just come up and just stare at his head and his particularly his hair. So I guess it was quite a troubling time for poor old Henry. But anyway, yeah. So I mentioned they all had part-time jobs. Catherine Coulson was a waitress, and so at the end of the day, she would get leftover food, bring it back to the stables, and they would all eat the leftovers. The baby in the film, like the synopsis I copied, described it as a lizard. I don't know how to describe this thing. It's a weird-looking lambish head with no fur, with a very long neck, and then the body is like a deflated basketball wrapped in bandages. And it is really disturbing. So if you're not in the mood for a disturbing film, you probably shouldn't watch this. In fact, I've told a bunch of people that I know really well, and I know what they're like and what kind of movies they like and their general kind of thing about art and film, to not watch this. I saw this at a fairly young age. I think I was like about 16, but very disturbing. So if you're not into the avant-garde type films, I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe, I don't know, if you're feeling adventurous, I think you should give it a try. It's a brilliant film, all that said, but not for everyone. Let's just put it that way. Let's just leave it at that. Not for everyone. So yeah, the baby, there's rumors that it was a skinned lamb or a skinned rabbit. It looked real fleshy and real wet, kind of greasy. It was very strange. No one, I think, knows what it was made of. And nobody on the set will talk about what it was made of. So that will remain a mystery. Yeah. The soundtrack, bizarre, droning, industrial ambience. I thought I remember something about them rolling marbles around in a bathtub and recording that sound, which would make sense because it kind of sounds like that. It's very unsettling, especially with what's going on in the film. It's, ooh boy, very strange. But if you like that kind of thing, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of speculation about this film, what it means, what it's about. David Lynch has said that nobody's gotten it right yet, so keep guessing, I guess. The most common one I hear is it's about parenthood or being a new parent, and the struggles of that, which is, I think, kind of surfacey. Yeah, it's a strange film. David Lynch has said it's his most spiritual film, so I don't know if he's trying to be aloof or if he's trying to give us a hint, but it's a cool movie that way, that you can watch it and kind of like have your own feelings about it or your own thoughts about what it's about. I just like to let it be a mystery. I don't know. It's just a mystery to me, and I love that. So that's all I want to say about that. Some people have said it's about sexuality. There's some allusions to sperm and just other things that people try to like. I think sometimes people with mysterious things, they have to find some meaning in it because that's how their minds work, and most people's minds work. For me, and maybe some of you, sometimes mystery is the best. Sometimes mystery is better. Sometimes not knowing is better. Sometimes just letting it be like a dream, like a surreal dream, is the best thing. And for me, now I've seen this movie a bunch of times. I just watched this edition about a week and a half ago. It has the same effect on me every time. It's just like I'm in this mystery and I can pretend to understand what these things mean, but I just let them wash over me. So if you do watch this film, maybe just let it be your little mystery. Yeah, Eraserhead. David Lynch's follow-up to this film was Elephant Man, which was produced by Mel Brooks, who had seen Eraserhead and loved David Lynch's craziness. And there's some famous story about him coming out of a screening of Eraserhead and giving David Lynch a big hug and just saying, "You're mad and I love you." And then he decided to get David Lynch to produce Elephant Man, and that is also another brilliant film. I would love to find that on DVD or Blu-ray. I only have it on VHS right now, but another great film. Nothing like this, but another great mysterious black and white film, but based on a true story. This film took a reported 6 years to make. It was made on approximately $10,000, and now this is just from what I read online, it made $7 million. Now, and this will make a bit more sense to you when I tell you about the next part, which is the release and the reception from critics. So its original opening saw 25 people attend it in the movie theater. But it was eventually picked up by theaters in what they call a midnight movie. So some of you younger folks might not know that term, but movies that played at midnight in big cities, and they just played on a loop, like every night all week. It was just on and on and on. Like say probably like Rocky Horror Picture Show or Mad Max or those kinds of films. They just play it over and over at midnight every night. And apparently at some point there were lines around the block to go see Eraserhead. So probably the word got out that you got to see this thing because this is like nothing you've ever seen before. So I think that's how it ended up making so much money, is just it played so much. And it was released on VHS in 1982 by Columbia Pictures, then on DVD by Umbrella in Australia in the mid-2000s, and several other times over the years by different companies. I have one called Eraserhead 2000, which I think is put out by, if I'm not mistaken, it was put out by David Lynch's company, Absurda, but I could be wrong on that. I haven't looked at that DVD in a while, but the original VHS is nearly impossible to find. That would be like a holy grail for me, but it's selling like for crazy prices online. I saw one listing for $300. I have a bootleg VHS of it, but I would love to find an original Columbia, but probably not going to happen. I'm sure it didn't get a lot of copies made, and now people know what it's worth. And like I said, I'm not paying $300 for a videotape, so not even Eraserhead. It initially got mixed reviews, mostly bad, just because it's so out there, and I think people just weren't kind of prepared for it. But it eventually became considered one of David Lynch's best films, and of course it found its cult following on VHS and home video. Thank God, because now this edition is put out by Criterion in 2014, and so it's saved, right? I mean, it's saved for posterity's sake. It's not going to go anywhere, so thank God, because a lot of these weirdo films from back then just get lost, or you get edited versions or things like that. So God bless Criterion. Well, many well-respected directors and artists have come forward in support of Lynch and Eraserhead, including Stanley Kubrick, who apparently screened this film for the cast and crew of The Shining before they filmed that movie, the adaptation of the Stephen King novel from 1980. Just so the cast and crew could get that kind of like atmosphere and tone, and kind of like where Kubrick wanted to be with The Shining. I think it maybe picked up a few elements from this, but cool that Stanley Kubrick played that for his cast and crew for The Shining, because I love that movie too, as many of you know, and it was just cool that that was a thing. H.R. Giger apparently loved this film too, and he was quoted as saying that it was one of the greatest films he had ever seen. So, you know, Kubrick, H.R. Giger, David Lynch, I mean, these are all my favorite things. These are a few of my favorite things. It was also credited as with inspiring the 1989 Japanese film Tetsuo the Iron Man. If you've never seen that film, boy, there's another one you need to check out. If you like Eraserhead, go check out Tetsuo the Iron Man. It could be on Tubi. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I saw it on there. That's another weird one. These are movies like, if I had enough allowance saved up when I was a teenager, I would go and rent these ones over and over again. I have to, again, say a special shout out to my friend Sasha, because Sasha was the one that turned me on to this movie back in 86 or 87, probably 86. And we watched this movie late at night at his house, him and his brother and me. And right after this, and it's like late at night, Sasha goes upstairs and he puts on, I want to say it was Controlled Bleeding or SPK vinyl record. And it was so scary. It was just like, I had to get out of there. So I went to his bedroom, closed the door, and I put on some hardcore punk music and tried to drown out the scary sounds that were coming from the living room. Of course, I think I remember his parents being woken up by all this noise, and then we got in trouble. But that was my first viewing of Eraserhead, and I was like, I don't know what I thought then. I just thought, like, what is this? I don't know. So I saw this, a few more times on VHS, and I did buy the DVD in the early 2000s. And I watched it a few more times through the 2000s, and I've just recently rewatched it here on this Criterion Edition. It's one of my favorites. It's probably in my top 10 films of all time, I would say. Blue Velvet is actually my favorite movie of all time. So another David Lynch film, but this one's pretty high up there. And every time I watch this, I'm so inspired. It's, oh my God. I love this movie. In fact, ever since I bought this about 2 weeks ago, I've just had it like sitting. I just had it like sitting on my bureau over there, so every day I wake up and I can see it. I just adore this film. So I did an unboxing of this video if you want to go see it, where I talk about all the insides of this and everything. This edition is the 2014 Criterion. It's a beautiful edition. It's a Blu-ray. That's the cover. I can show you. Yeah, so there's the, I don't know if you can see that. Those are all the special features. It is 89 minutes. As you know, I love my 89-minute long movies. It's not from 1977, black and white, stereo, 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio Blu-ray. And then on the inside, I'll just do another quick kind of showing this off because I'm quite proud of it. But it comes with a booklet. It comes with a photo on the inside behind the disc of Henry and his wife's bed. For some reason. And this transfer looks beautiful. I mean, black and white movies oftentimes look beautiful in high definition. This one looks really nice. And then it comes with this booklet, and like I said on my unboxing, it has photos from the movie, along with an interview with David Lynch. There's one picture in here that I showed in my unboxing that was super, super cute. Like, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I think it was when David Lynch was just little, or like he was a young adult, but I think it might have been this one I showed off. Look at David Lynch there. What a cutie. Yeah. Anyway, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I could probably talk about this movie for another hour, but I don't want to drag it out too long. But yeah, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. No qualms about it. There's nothing I couldn't find something to pick apart in this movie if I wanted to. Yeah, so like I said, my history with this film, I watched it when I was a teenager. And I guess I haven't seen it that many times in my life, maybe like 10 times in my life. It's another one of those things where it is a mystery, and I think it's also important with things that are special that you don't overindulge in them so that it isn't special anymore. So I save this one, maybe every 3 or 4 years I'll put this on just to revisit, and it's always magical. So you can stream this, I guess on, oh yeah, I think you can rent it on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple TV. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's pretty cheap to rent on YouTube. I don't see this out in the wild really ever. I bought this at a store that sells boutique Blu-rays and DVDs. But yeah, you'd probably have to buy this if you wanted to watch it. I've never seen a used copy of this now that I think about it. In the last 2 years that I started thrifting, I've never seen a copy. I had to buy this new. This does retail for $52.99 right now in Canada, roughly. So it's pretty dear, but if you're a fan of Eraserhead, this edition is well worth it. So anyway, this review has gone on quite long, so I don't want to drag it out too long. If you have comments about Eraserhead, you love this movie, you don't like this movie, you don't understand what the hoopla is, whatever, you can leave a comment and give me a thumbs up if you like. If you like this kind of content, movie reviews, movie thrifting, be sure to subscribe. Every Tuesday is Cult Movie Tuesday, and every Friday is Fright Friday horror movie reviews. And in between, I try to do some thrifting haul videos. So be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with my new videos. And follow me over on Instagram at Night Owl Video. And until next time, I will see you out in the video store or the thrift store or just somewhere around. And remember, put some mystery back into your life.